as easy as this to clearing the hardest challenges in not just Geometry Dash but in all of gaming. The story of the toughest levels is one of rivalry, bravery, and victory, and today we'll talk about how a couple dozen players pushed this game to its absolute limit. With how much we look up to top levels today, would you believe me if I said that they actually used to be hated and disliked into oblivion? Back in the day, players wanted to show off by collecting as many stars as possible. RobTop gave high quality levels a rating from 1 to 9 based on their difficulty, and the higher the rating, the more stars you'd get from beating it and the farther you'd climb up the ranks. So when some crazy crackpot creator came along and built a level that really deserved a rating of, say, 30 stars, when it could only be given 9 max, you can imagine how badly people reacted to that. And that was the fate of Demon Park by M2 Cole. Why torture myself with this stupidly hard level when I can play an easier one and get the same amount of stars? Unlike the rest of the crowd though, RobTop was very impressed by how M2 Cole pushed the limits of his game, and to honor it, he added the new demon difficulty in the next update. The amount of them you've beaten were displayed on your profile, letting you flex on your friends at school. Little did RobTop know that this tiny change would start a huge years-long journey to see just how far players can push this game. 4 other levels became demons after the update, with one leading the pack to become our first true top 1 level. But in the beginnings of this game's history, the top spot would switch hands many times. By early 2014, Element 111 RG found itself on top, making it both the hardest level in the game and the most mysterious. Just take a look. Why is it empty? Well, the truth is, we don't actually know what it looked like. Our understanding of it comes from little screenshots and recreations based off memory. The people who played it all agreed that it was the most brutal map ever created. Too brutal to have been beaten legitimately. You see, to post a level online, you must clear it yourself to verify it's actually possible, cause, you know, RobTop doesn't want impossible maps everywhere. But crafty creators have found ways to get around this and throw their ridiculous levels on the server. And in the case of Element 111 RG, it had a secret way, a sneaky path only the creator knew of that allowed you to skip the hardest parts of the level and breeze your way through it. Well, a few days after RobTop rated it, the not so secret way was discovered, and its demon badge was revoked. The level was later deleted by its creator for unknown reasons and lost to time. This left Silent Club in the #1 spot, another near impossible map. Why do I say that? Well, the second you enter it, you're greeted with this. Nobody could get past his crazy spam parts, especially on their crappy smartphones. Yeah, by this point, Geometry Dash wasn't even available on PC yet. I really have no clue why RobTop unrated Element 111 RG but said Silent Club was just fine. Even though there wasn't a secret way, the creator couldn't have possibly beaten it without hacking or something. Because the level was so far out of everybody's reach, people began going after maps that were right below it. Just as you should be going after that juicy subscribe button and pressing it. In January of 2015, GG Boys Cataclysm was all the rage, not only because it was beautifully built, but the map was very intimidating. Look at this fast wave part at the beginning, which also changed your size and forced you into tight gaps. Not fun. Though GG Boy would later confess to hacking the level, people wondered if maybe, just maybe, it was actually possible to clear. I mean, beyond the wave part at the beginning, the level was actually somewhat manageable, especially now that the game was ported to PC, and pros started using their keyboards and mice instead of their greasy, nasty smartphones. Well, to the surprise of everyone, the rising Korean star Cyclic would give it a go. He'd work through the level, and in May of 2015, the impossible became the possible, and with the limiting belief shattered, 3 other players slated just a few days after. This was hands down the hardest level ever beaten legitimately, especially now that Silent Club was exposed for its super secret way. But these 4 survivors of the weren't satisfied yet. Cyclic had shown the world how far the game could be pushed, and players everywhere wondered just how much farther they could go. An elite team of creators began cooking up a level that would build off Cataclysm's theme but dwarf it in difficulty. The level, Bloodbath, was set to be verified by Riot. He was one of the first to beat Cataclysm, and if he beat it, it would 100% become the #1 level in the game. Not wanting to be left behind in the race for the top, Cyclic began building his own map, Sonic Wave. Its light blue theme contrasted Bloodbath's dark red, but its difficulty far surpassed it. Sonic Wave was what you'd get if you took that fast wave section from the beginning of Cataclysm and stretched it throughout the entire level. And when Cyclic beat the map, it was unbelievable. Like, it was literally unbelievable. With the recent exposal of one of Geometry Dash's most popular players, people were getting more watchful for cheaters and hackers. Cyclic claimed to have beaten the level off camera, but you're smart. You know what has happened so far. 2 other top levels are exposed for having secret ways. Would you really trust him if he said he beat this? RobTop sure as hell didn't. He was tired of impossible levels popping up on his servers, and so without video proof, he refused to give the level a demon rating. Because of this, Cyclic made the next most logical move. He buffed the shit out of Sonic Wave and beat it again. Yeah, don't ask me why he did this, because if people weren't questioning his legitimacy then, they were certainly questioning it now. I guess he wanted to be 1000% sure that it was harder than Bloodbath and it would stay on the top for a while. By this point, the level was finished and Riot was making good progress on it, even though it looked really tough. RobTop rated Sonic Wave this time around because Cyclic posted video proof of him beating it, but the community suspected that the footage was hacked. Why? Well, just look at the level. There was just no way that a human could clear something this hard. I mean, at 100% speed, does this look possible to you? After facing pressure from everyone, he'd update the level again, this time to some random joke map, a sort of middle finger to all the haters. Because of this, RobTop then unrated the level, causing the #1 spot to be lost. Riot was still making steady progress on Bloodbath, especially thanks to a shiny new 144Hz monitor he got. Why does that matter? Well, high frame rates are useful in all video games, as they reduce input lag and make the game feel smoother. But in Geometry Dash before update 2.2, high FPS monitors were absolutely crucial for competitive play because they literally broke the game in a good way. The ship was much easier to control, the wave was way more responsive, and timings were just so much more accurate. As a high FPS player myself, playing on low made me feel like there was an anvil weighing me down or something. There's no other way to describe it. So what do you get when you give one of the greatest players of the era a 144Hz monitor?
Oh my god!
The difficulty ceiling was pushed even more, like a lot more. With 144Hz players being so rare, hardly anyone would make serious progress on the level for a while. Competitive Geometry Dash was a locked door, and the key to it was a crap ton of money for expensive equipment. Sure, you could do some pretty impressive stuff playing on 60Hz or mobile, but if you wanted to play in the big leagues, you had to pay up. And that's shown by the fact that it took months for anyone else besides Riot to clear the level, and the ones who did were all playing on 144Hz. Because Quasar was the first survivor of the Bloodbath, he was chosen to verify a remake of it some passionate creators were building. The level took what made Bloodbath so hard, the straight fly and the tough timings, and pushed it even farther, even extending it by an entire minute. This level, now called Bloodlust, was no small task as you can see, but final exams were approaching for Quasar, and his playtime was hampered because of his hand pain, like bad hand pain. It would hurt after being on for just 10 minutes, so Quasar's next move wasn't a surprise to anyone. Thankfully, the player Nobleboy stepped in to carry the torch. He wasn't one of the first to be Bloodbath, clearing it 3 months hurt after being on for just 10 minutes, so Quasar's next move wasn't a surprise to anyone. Thankfully, the player Nobleboy stepped in to carry the torch. He wasn't one of the first to be Bloodbath, clearing it 3 months after Quasar, and he wasn't that well known either, so people doubted whether he was skilled enough. I mean, would you trust him? If you wanted to pick someone to verify the hardest level in the game, who would you go with? The #1 player or number 9? Taking on Bloodlust Ghost wasn't simply carrying the torch. It was more like carrying a 2001 Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Would he really be able to get the job done? We'll find out after a quick message from today's sponsor, War Thunder. It's the biggest vehicle combat game ever created, free on PC and console. Play with 2,500 different tanks,